Now, it's only 4 weeks until the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebration weekend begins, and as I'm sure you're aware, it was announced by the government that pubs, bars and nightclubs in England and Wales can stay open until 1 a.m. over the extended bank holiday weekend. And organisers have announced details of events happening in London, including a Trooping the Colour and a flypast, a service of Thanksgiving at St Paul's Cathedral, and a platinum party at the Palace, with Ed Sheeran topping the star-studded lineup. So it's time to start planning, and as we come together to celebrate Her Majesty's 70 years on the throne, we've got Roisin O'Neill here with us from next door, who believes events like this are a great opportunity to celebrate with your neighbours and bring the local community together. How are you, first of all?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me, and hello to all your listeners.
So do you think people are looking forward to the Jubilee?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes, I think people are very much looking forward to the bank holiday weekend, a lovely 4-day bank holiday weekend, a nice meaty one this time round. And I think they're just looking forward to celebrating together and getting together with their neighbours. We did do some research, though, and we found that actually 47% of Brits are unaware of any Jubilee events that are happening in their local area. So we thought, well, there's this wonderful, momentous occasion that is happening in June, and yet people don't know sort of what's happening locally. So we've created our next door Jubilee events map as a place where neighbours can go. People can go to plot their event or add their event if they're starting to plan, or they want to put a flag in the sand, so to speak, but also to find events that are happening locally. So on our Jubilee events map, you can type in your postcode and you can find local events that are happening with you.
Yeah. And what kind of events are people actually going to be doing?
I think there's quite a large variety. I mean, one of the things that we would say is that, little or large, any kind of event where you are bridging a connection with another person local to you is brilliant. So if you're thinking of doing, trestle tables down the middle of the street, bunting, hanging up and Union Jack flags and everything, then that's absolutely fantastic. If you've got, a local walking group and you're going to walk to a lovely scenic location and you're going to, throw down the picnic rug and have some sandwiches together, even, that's absolutely fine as well. Or it could even be a couple with a neighbour. I think the great thing about the Jubilee is that, and certainly the Platinum Jubilee, is that it's a really special occasion. And what we've heard from neighbours is, there's a lot going on in the world at the moment. We've had a couple of tough years through the pandemic, and now's the time to really just get together and to celebrate with one another and to build those connections.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we're setting up our own event, maybe, what kind of things do we need in our bag? Do we need maybe bunting, and what kind of food maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our research has found that sort of the top must-haves are Union Jack, bunting, music, tea, things like, you need to think about food. So food is a great connector. So that could be, the traditional things like a Victoria sponge, scones and jam, but it could also be recipes from everybody on the street. That food is such a wonderful connector. It's a great way you could share recipes, you could bring out, your favourite dishes, but also I would start thinking about games or icebreakers, perhaps. Just great ways to have a good party.
Yeah. And in terms of music, what kind of music is best? Could it be songs like Dancing Queen?
Well, you could make it however you please. I mean, whatever works for your local community. It may well be that you have some budding artists, or you have somebody that would perhaps just like to learn a new skill. We see a lot of skill sharing on Nextdoor, and so why not? Have people. You could either play some music, traditional or not, or you could invite somebody to come along. You never know. It might end up that way anyway, as the sort of the spirit of the party carries along.
Yeah. And another interesting thing about this research is it's found that actually younger people, Gen Z, are more likely to host an event, whereas older people are more likely to join an event.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this sort of doesn't really surprise us that much because at Nextdoor we have found through previous research that the younger generation, the 18 to 24-year-olds, were actually much more affected by lockdown loneliness and are very civically minded. So they're already, waving to their neighbours, perhaps know their neighbours. And so it doesn't sort of surprise us that much that this group are actually more likely to be hosting a Platinum Jubilee themed event. But in any case, on Nextdoor, you're going to find plenty of intergenerational, connections. So the neighborhood is full of everybody, right? The neighborhood is for everybody. And so we would just encourage people to look, if hosting an event is too much and it's too overwhelming, then use the Jubilee events map to find a local event. I think what you'll start to see is people saying, oh, well, I could bring a dish, or, I'm bringing my kids, so I'll bring some games. And bit by bit, you kind of cobble it together and it becomes this wonderful, inclusive event that's all about celebrating together.
Yeah. And how does this map work? How can we add our own event, and how can we perhaps register interest in an existing event?
Absolutely. Yeah. You visit Nextdoor, jubileemap.co.uk. And from there, you will either be able to host an event. So you can add event to the map. And honestly, don't worry too much if you haven't got all the events, the event details planned out. Yeah. It's sort of about putting a flag in the sand. And then you can also find an event. And on the map, you'll find there's a postcode search. So you can type in your postcode and it will show up all of the events that are happening locally. Now, if there aren't any events happening locally, I would encourage you to go over to Nextdoor. There are plenty of links to Nextdoor. And from there, start a conversation. See what's happening. There may be something already going on that you can, contribute to, or you could, of course, start something up.
Great. Well, many thanks for coming on today. It's been great to have you here.
Thanks very much for having us, and have a brilliant Jubilee.